Okay, well, I went ahead and sprayed this, even though there were places where I could have worked longer, but you know, I always just find it too confusing to not, because I don't remember what's sprayed and what's not. And this way, when I've sprayed it all and I'm ready to come back and work on it, then I know it's ready to work on. So I think what I'm going to do is start with the flowers, and because that's the most important thing, it's more important than the background. So if I start with the flowers, then I'll know what I need to do to the background, whereas now it's just kind of like I'm making the background, if I work on the background now, it's like I'm assuming the background is more important than the flowers. So yeah, so I'm going to try that. And when I kind of look at it, I feel that the color on the flowers that's sort of the most wrong is this, but golly, it's hard to know which thing to start with, and that's because maybe I want to start with the lightest things to make sure I don't get something else too light, because I'm probably going to be able to make the lights lighter. So okay, so what I'm going to do is start with these yellow flowers right there. The thing is, I don't always do everything the same way. Yeah, I just do what makes the most sense to me in the moment. And sometimes the thing that makes the most sense to me is honestly not the most sensible thing, so I don't know. It's not always the same what makes sense to me. I didn't even see this leaf here. I was like, oh, what's that? Okay, but and of course, after you sprayed it, everything is a lot darker, and whatever you put on is gonna really look lighter. Okay. Okay, so I'm not unhappy yet. And now, that's too bright. I have an amazing number of yellows here, but I think they're all exactly the same yellow almost. Man, I don't actually use that much yellow, I don't think. And then a bunch of them kind of look green, but I don't think they really are. They've just been smeared over something green. Okay, I'm going to say that's okay for now. And then I'm going to work on the top, this big flower face here. And I want to keep that feeling of the texture of it, so which is different than really anything else in the painting. So I'm just working with the flat side of my pastel and just kind of putting it on with little choppy strokes. Whoa, that was no good. Okay, what can we do? And one of the things that distinguishes shadows from the light is that you can see less detail in the shadows. So I used a little bit of that same choppy stroke, trying to get that, because I don't want it to just look flat in there, but I don't want to show as much texture as I'm showing on the part of the flower head that's in light. So I did show a little texture. That's the thing about shadows. You can't see as much detail, and the real way, one of the ways you show detail in painting is just with texture. So by making less texture in your shadows, they'll look more shadowy. I was kind of worried about this just looking so stripy back there. Let's see. And I'm just not loving this whole leaf thing I got going on here either. So maybe that leaf's just not really the right color. God, all these little things, you know, all these little things that you want to keep track of. Oh, and golly, I left out a whole petal here. So maybe that will help too. Get that behind there. Okay, that's a little better. I always kind of curse myself when I don't put away the pastels I had out from the last day I was working. And then somehow I do it more than once. I keep leaving them out. It's like a little lazy Jeneane kicks in and doesn't want to go to the trouble to put them away before I get started again. But I should do it at the end every time. But anyway, I think it's a good idea to get things put away because I tend to not look for something new then when I've got this little pile of stuff. And I should be looking for something better, not just something I've already used. So if I'd put it all back in my box, it would kind of have more of an equal status for me, you know, like I would just say, well, yeah, I wouldn't have things I could just grab without thinking too much. This thing is so dark, but somehow I have to show that it's actually got light shining on it. I'm not, I mean, that, you could say that's a detail right there, but I'm not really doing details yet. I'm still just putting in color changes. Okay. And I'm trying to think about what things are in front of other things, but I'm not worrying about edges and stuff yet. And yeah, you know, I can only sort of do so much at a time, and I can only focus so much at a time. So I'm still just working on making the color better more than anything. I am using strokes though, kind of drawing strokes, so. And I may be spending a little more time in each area than I was, you know, the first time over, but not much. I'm just kind of moving around, trying to. I can't really exactly tell you why I'm making the decisions that I'm making to work in specific places. Just kind of going from one thing to the next, I guess. And yeah, I'd like to somehow show that texture in the shadow, but I don't know, my photograph maybe is just so dark that I can't actually see much over here. Something. I don't want it to just be a really dark just spot there. Okay, well, that seems kind of okay. So now there's this leaf. It's nice. I've got so much stuff in my painting that eventually I can make a lot of choices about what things I want to be more detailed and what things I want to be less. So sometimes I think it's actually easier to paint a picture that has more stuff in it, because no one thing, if you just have one thing, it's got to be perfect. But if you have a bunch of stuff, there's some places that are going to be, you know, you're going to kind of let them go. I hate the way, though, like this, coming right out of that thing. That stem coming right out of that, directly out of that yellow flower. So let's see if I can do something about that. I do feel like every time I just start to make stuff up, I wish I hadn't. Okay, back to wherever I was when I got distracted. I got another little place right here where, oh God, those are supposed to be part of the flower, I think, not a leaf. All right. And there was a place I never noticed. I hadn't put the background in. Yeah, so I feel like I pay for my drawing mistakes. And that's why it's important to me to draw as well as I can, because I hate it when later, like, drawing mistakes cause troubles. And I don't know why I ever try to make anything up, because it's always that kind of thing that screws me up. All right, what can I do about that right there? Okay, that's okay. Actually, I don't think that's a leaf. I think that's another little. Oh, it's a pretty good color I found. So now I'll proceed to use it too much. You know, like maybe that flower down back here, maybe I could just kind of leave that. But I do need to do something about those. The tips of the flowers are a little much. Still too much. One thing I just love about the fixative is the way you can just kind of dry brush the pastel on top of the colors that are underneath it and make that kind of airy, transparent feel to it. Where, like, even though it's a flat surface, it starts to have some depth. And that's why, you know, a lot of times I just have to spray it again, because once I start to lose that that transparency of layers of colors, then I need to spray it again. Just felt like that was just too big a flat yellow space right there. And still not loving it, but it's like right in here I kind of know, like, oh, that might be a place that makes me have to spray this again. Already start to get that feeling, because I tried to add that flower onto there. And then, of course, the question is, how do you keep working on something and keep it fresh and loose, but still add to it? I'll let these guys get way too white. All right, and that leaf right there is too dark. That was still pretty dark, that color, so let's try this one. And that was too light. Great, some more too light, but maybe it'll be okay. So now I got to find something darker, but not too dark. I mean, I feel like I can accept that, and then I'm going to see what to do down here on the vase. Oh, and I forgot to ever look at this straight on, so see if I needed to fix my drawing. I just can't tell if my drawing's wrong when I'm sitting over here to the side. This is such a beautiful color. It's a Mount Vision, and it's number 340. It's kind of a grayish blue, but not too cold, not too dark, and not too light. So a medium value, bluish with a little gray added to it. So when I did this before, I had a lot more of the vase, and I thought the vase with the yellow designs in it helped bring your eye down. But I think in this case, I'm not really interested in bringing my eye down any further to this vase. There's not that much down here, and there's no reason to make that a super interesting spot. So I think I'm not going to bother to put any of those designs on, and just keep this maybe not even as white as it really is. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so we need some white and shadow. I think I'm thinking of the vase as just, you know, it needs to be here, and I know I need to draw it right, and I'm probably going to have to come back to do that, but it's just going to be kind of just a placeholder, not an important thing particularly. And I don't know what I want to do about all that over there either. I did not really want to lighten it up that much. Oh, great. So let's just pick another color that's a little too light. Look, that's how light it was before I sprayed it right there. All right, I need something darker. That was right, not right. All right, well maybe that's okay. Not such obvious shadows over there and stuff, so. All right, so this flower, really got to work on that flower, obviously. Oh, golly, all that weird stuff in there that, once again, I just would like to say I didn't study out carefully enough to know what's going on in there. Okay, so. I was trying to create some sort of order out of chaos that I can live with back here. So I've got to try to make that leaf look like it's coming in front here. In front here, and then behind here. Okay, so. It's like the most day-glow orange ever right there. See, it really can be, in a way, more fun to paint things that aren't so, you know, so obviously the color they are. You know, the reddish orange of these flowers is pretty overwhelming. It's hard to see what else you might want to use in them. I might want to use in them. No, not that. Maybe I should try real red. That old problem, I never seem to have like an actual real red anywhere. What are you? 'Cause, you know, Well, that's too bright, so maybe I can try some green on it. I think it's still too light. Wow, and what in the world? I guess, there is this thing when you spray it that you got some darks in that you can't, you don't have anything that'll make it that dark again because the spray is so dark. I just want to try to see if I could show a little volume in the sunflower head. Then I wonder, will this kind of detail even show up when it's framed under glass? Okay, I think I'm going to have to come lighter around here because I just want those flowers to show up, those petals down here to show up a little more, so I'm just going to try it. So the background should work for your foreground. It's usually the background is playing a supporting role, not a starring role. I do not like it. So just taking a minute to kind of look all around and see if anything's bugging me too bad. Okay, well, I decided not to work on this anymore right now. And I'll decide if I'm going to work on it again later. So it's not really finished, but it might be finished enough for a demonstration. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it.